and thank you for joining us on our important segment on lightning safety. My name is Tom Banks, and today we're going to be talking about some of the important factors to consider when approached by a storm during a sporting event. We're going to start off by talking to you guys about the components of an EAP. The first part of the EAP is to promote a slogan. So we have a slogan for you guys. Our slogan is, lightning could be frightening, and if you're struck, you're out of luck. Our second part of the EAP is to establish a chain of command. So you have to pretty much establish a person or identify who's going to be in charge of evacuating and suspending activity. The third part of the EAP would be identifying who's going to be the weather watcher, who's going to be the one who's looking for threatening weather, either by looking at the National Weather Service or having some kind of device that identifies when there's threatening weather coming towards the event, and also in charge of notifying the chain of command that a storm is approaching. The fourth part of the EAP is to establish safe locations. Many people are confused on what's safe and what's not, and we'll get into that later. But you want to establish the safe locations during an event. You want to do that prior to the event, so that way, in the case of an emergency, everyone knows where the directed safe locations would be. The fifth part is to establish or identify specific criteria for suspending and resuming activities. So you want to pretty much establish standards for when it is safe and unsafe to return, and when it is directed to suspend activity, to suspend a game, and continue it another day or after the storm has passed. Okay, so right now we're going to take you guys over to my good friend Max, who's going to be demonstrating some of the safe and unsafe locations during an event. Here we're going to take you over to Max. Let's see what he has to say.
Alright, thank you, Tom. So today we'll be discussing a topic that is fairly overlooked by most people. As you can see, we're actually standing on a baseball field where game day tends to happen. But what if during game day you have a storm, you have lightning, you have thunder? Can you see me? You have lightning, you have thunder. I'm gonna go ahead and go over the spots that are safe and are unsafe and what to do under such circumstances. Alright, so back to the unsafe and safe spots. As you can see, in the circumstances of rain, thunder, the first thing people will tend to do is run over to shelter and obviously try to hide from the rain, lightning, etc. But that's actually one of the worst spots to go to. Open areas, as you can see, baseball fields, dugouts, shelters, that's all extremely unsafe. Right here, we wouldn't have any wires, as you can see, but in the case of lightning, away from wires, away from open areas. And we're actually going to go over to the safe spots. I'm going to go ahead and show you. Okay, so enough about the unsafe spots. So how about safe spots? Most people would actually tend to come into this area, try to hide off from the rain, from the thunder, but actually that's the worst thing you could do. You're still close to the open area, you still have trees, you're close to plumbing, as I said before. Your best bet is actually to get indoors. Schools, libraries, in this case a field house, anything that is sheltered and enclosed. This is not good. Alright, so last but not least, let's say you find yourself in a situation where you're in an open field, trees, wires, you really have no enclosures, such as buildings, school, libraries, a field house, and you have no other option. Your best bet would be your own vehicle. Get in your vehicle, close your doors, and drive away from the storm to the safest location near you. Alright, now we're going to go over to Bill to speak about general first aid recommendations.
Alright, thank you, Max. Thank you for the recommendation. Here we're going to be talking about some of the general first aid for when somebody gets struck by lightning. Here we have an individual who's just been struck by lightning. One of the first things you want to do is take the individual off. Take him to a safer location. Okay, so after taking the individual from an unsafe location to a more safer location, you're going to go ahead and assess the patient. You start with assessing the breathing, the pulse, and some of the injuries that he may obtain from the lightning. You want to start off first with checking his pulse and his breathing. Next thing you want to do is see if he can come up conscious. Hey, are you okay? He's not responding. The next thing you want to do is check for any deformities, anything that may come out to you, any palpations, anything. Then you want to check for spinal injuries, see Make sure his neck is in place for C-spine. After that, you wanna make sure people are calling 911. That way, as soon as you're done with your assessment, you have somebody already on the way to come pick up the individual and take him to the hospital or an emergency trauma center. Okay, so here, that was a wrap up of some of the first aid, general first aid. Now we're gonna go back to Tom in the studio so he can talk about personal safety and go more into the lightning safety.
Thank you, Bill. Now we're going to talk about postponement and resumption of activities and the parts that are included. The first part is if thunderstorms are about to happen or are approaching, you might want to watch the skies, even if there hasn't been any lightning. The second part, individuals should be in a safe location whenever the storm is approaching or is seen. This can be determined by the distance from the edge of the storm and the event being at least 5 nautical miles. The third part is to consider the time for the individuals to evacuate the premises and get to a designated safe location. And the last part is activities should be suspended and resumed 30 minutes after the last strike is seen or heard. Our last part consists of personal safety. The first part of personal safety is if thunder can be heard, it is way too close and you should get to a safe location immediately. Second part, if thunderstorms are coming, the chain of command should warn the participants and make sure they know the dangers of lightning. The last part is all individuals have the right to leave the premises when feeling in danger. So whenever you feel danger, you go right ahead and get to a safe location. Thank you for joining us on this segment of lightning safety. And remember, lightning is frightening. And if you get struck, you are out of luck.